"Get out of my building," brother screamed, throwing my laptop into the hall. "This is for real entrepreneurs." I said nothing. I left. The next morning at 8:47 a.m., his business received a lease termination. By 9:15 a.m., 47 missed calls. I'd owned the $14.2 million building since 2019. But let me back up. Because the morning my brother threw me out wasn't random. It was calculated. It was the culmination of 3 years of careful dismissal, strategic humiliation, and a family that confused silence for weakness. My name is Maya Chin. I'm 34 years old. And for most of my adult life I've been the disappointment. My brother Derek is 38. 4 years older. 4 years more successful according to my parents. 4 years of being held up as the example I should follow. Derek graduated from Stanford with a business degree. I went to a state school for computer science. Derek got a corporate job at a Fortune 500 company making $120,000 right out of college. I freelanced from coffee shops making maybe $30,000 my first year. Derek bought a house at 26. I lived with roommates until I was 29. Every family dinner was a comparison. Every holiday gathering was a performance review where I was always found lacking. Derek closed a $2 million deal this quarter. Dad would announce, raising his wine glass. "That's wonderful," I'd say. "What are you working on, Maya?" Mom would ask, her tone suggesting she already knew the answer would disappoint her. "Some contract work. Web development. Database optimization." "Still freelancing?" The way she said it made it sound like a disease. Derek would lean back in his chair, smiling. Not gloating exactly. Just comfortable in his position as the favored child. The successful one. The one who made them proud. I learned to keep my head down. To stay quiet. To let them believe whatever they wanted to believe. What they didn't know was that in 2016 at 26 years old, I'd started building something. Not flashy. Not loud. Just valuable. I'd been doing contract work for a fintech startup. They needed someone who could build secure database architectures for financial transactions. I charged them $85 per hour. They were happy to pay it. That startup got acquired for $340 million in 2017. My equity? $2.8 million. I didn't tell anyone. Not my parents. Not Derek. Not the friends who thought I was still scraping by on freelance gigs. I took that $2.8 million and I did what I do best. I built. I started a consulting firm. Small. Specialized. We handled database security and optimization for financial institutions. Banks. Investment firms. Companies that moved billions of dollars and needed their infrastructure to be bulletproof. By 2018, we had 12 employees and $4.2 million in annual revenue. By 2019, we had 30 employees and $11.8 million in revenue. That same year I bought a building in downtown Seattle. 6 stories. Mixed-use commercial. Office spaces on floors 2 through 6. Retail on the ground floor. Purchase price. $14.2 million. I bought it through an LLC. Chin Property Holdings. Not my name on the paperwork that tenants saw. Just a corporate entity. A management company that handled leases and maintenance. Derek's company Apex Marketing Solutions leased the entire 4th floor. 4,200 square feet. $8,400 per month. He'd moved his growing agency there in late 2019, 6 months after I purchased the building. He had no idea he was paying me rent. At family dinners the script never changed. Derek's agency landed Boeing as a client. Dad announced in early 2020. $50,000 monthly retainer. That's impressive, I said. What about you, Maya? Still doing the computer thing? Still consulting? It's going well. Well, we can't all be entrepreneurs like Derek, Mom said, patting my hand. There's nothing wrong with hourly work. I wasn't doing hourly work. I hadn't done hourly work in 4 years. But I smiled and nodded. Derek bought a Tesla. Dad posted photos on Facebook with the caption, "Proud of my son's success." I drove a 2014 Honda Civic. Derek took Mom and Dad to Hawaii for their 40th anniversary. First-class tickets. Ocean view suite. Instagram photos every day. I sent a card and a $200 gift certificate to their favorite restaurant. It's the thought that counts, Mom said when she called to thank me. Then softer. Derek's gift was so generous. He's doing so well. I know, I thought. I can see his rent checks clearing every month. In 2021, Derek's business was expanding. He needed more space. The 4th floor wasn't enough. The building owner is letting us expand to part of the 3rd floor, he told me at Sunday dinner. Another 1,200 square feet. My business is scaling fast. That's great, I said. You should see the office, Maya. Really impressive setup. Conference rooms. Standing desks. We're building something special. What he didn't mention was that his expansion came with a $3,000 monthly rent increase. Or that I'd approved it through the property management company after reviewing his financials and confirming he could afford it. Why don't you come by sometime? Derek offered. I could show you how a real business operates. Maybe you could pick up some ideas for your consulting thing. Maybe, I said. I'd been to the building plenty of times. I visited every property I owned at least once a month. But I came through the parking garage. I met with the property manager in a ground floor retail space. I never went to the 4th floor. Derek didn't know I was there. By early 2022, I'd expanded my portfolio. 3 more commercial buildings in Seattle. 2 in Portland. 1 in San Francisco. Total portfolio value, $67 million. My consulting firm had grown to 55 employees. Annual revenue, $18.4 million. My personal net worth, $34 million. My family thought I was still freelancing. In March 2023, Derek called me. Unusual. We typically only saw each other at family events. Hey Maya. I need a favor. What's up? I need office space. Temporary. Maybe 2 weeks. We're doing a major build-out on the 3rd floor and construction's making it impossible to work. I'm looking for somewhere quiet where I can meet clients. Okay. You work from home, right? You still have that 1 bedroom in Capitol Hill? I actually owned a 3-bedroom penthouse in Madison Park worth $2.7 million. But Derek thought I lived in the same apartment I'd rented in my 20s. I do have space, I said carefully. Perfect. Can I use your living room? I'll bring my laptop. Maybe take a few calls. I'll be quiet. You won't even know I'm there. Something in his tone. Dismissive. Presumptuous. Like my space, my time, my home were just resources available for his convenience. Let me think about it, I said. Think about it? Come on, Maya. It's 2 weeks. You're not doing anything important. I let that sit for a moment. I'll get back to you, I said. I never did. He called Mom. Maya's being difficult about letting me work from her place. I don't know why she's being so selfish. Mom called me. Derek needs your help. Why are you making this hard? I have work to do, I said. My apartment isn't a co-working space. You're on your computer all day anyway. What difference does it make if Derek is there? I didn't argue. I just said no. The resentment started then. Derek began making comments at family dinners. Some people help family. Others just think about themselves. Must be nice to have so much free time that you can't spare 2 weeks. I guess when you're not building anything real, you get protective of your space. I didn't respond. I ate my dinner. I smiled politely. I left early. By June 2023, Derek was flying high. His agency had landed 3 major clients. He hired 12 more employees. He needed even more space. I'm taking the entire 3rd floor now, he announced at Sunday dinner. The building owner approved it. Apex Marketing Solutions is officially one of the top agencies in Seattle. Total rent for his expanded space, $14,600 per month. That's a significant expense, Dad said, impressed. We're doing $3.2 million in annual revenue now, Derek said. We can handle it. This is what scaling looks like. He looked at me. You should really come see the office, Maya. Might inspire you to think bigger with your little consulting thing. I'm good, I said. Come on. Seriously. Your family. I want you to see what I've built. I believe you. You know what your problem is? Derek leaned forward. You're afraid to think big. You're comfortable being small. That's why you'll never build anything that matters. Mom touched his arm. Derek, that's not. No, she needs to hear this. I've been watching her coast for years. Freelancing. Taking the easy path. No ambition. No vision. He turned to me. When are you going to stop playing it safe and actually try to build something real? I took a sip of water. I'm working on it. For how many years now? Come by the office. Maybe it'll motivate you. Maybe, I said. I never went. On September 14, 2023, I had a meeting scheduled at the building. A potential tenant for retail space on the ground floor. A coffee shop chain looking to expand. The meeting was at 2 p.m. in the property manager's office. I arrived at 1:45. Parked in my designated spot in the garage. Reserved. Owner's parking. Unmarked except for the spot number. I took the elevator to the ground floor. The property manager, Kenji Watanabe, was waiting. Miss Chen, the client is running 10 minutes late. Would you like to wait in my office or grab coffee? I'll look around. Check on the third floor build-out. Of course. I took the elevator to the fourth floor. Derek's floor. I wanted to see the space. Wanted to see what he'd built with my property. The elevator doors opened to a professional setup. Glass-walled conference rooms. Modern furniture. Standing desks. Motivational quotes on the walls about disruption and innovation. Impressive. I walked past the reception desk. The receptionist was on a call. He smiled and waved me through. I walked down the hall toward the conference rooms. That's when I heard Derek's voice. This building is perfect for us. I'm thinking about expanding to the 5th floor next year. Really establish Apex as the dominant presence here. I paused outside the conference room. Through the glass wall I could see Derek with 3 people. Clients probably. He was giving them a tour. You own the building, one of them asked. Derek laughed. I don't own it. But I've been here so long I basically run the place. The owner is some investment company that doesn't care as long as the rent check's clear. I've got complete autonomy. I stepped back. Out of sight. That's the advantage of finding these corporate-owned buildings, Derek continued. No individual owner breathing down your neck. Just anonymous entities cashing checks. It's perfect for scaling a business. I stood in that hallway for 30 seconds. Processing. Then I walked back to the elevator. 2 weeks later, on September 28, 2023, everything changed. I had a meeting with my CFO and my head of operations. We were reviewing Q3 numbers for my consulting firm. Strong quarter. $5.1 million in revenue. Margins improving. Team growing. I suggested we meet at a coffee shop near the building. Close enough that I could check on a maintenance issue after our meeting. We met at 10 a.m. By 11:30 we'd finished our review. Want to see something interesting? I asked my CFO Jennifer Park. Always. Follow me. We walked 2 blocks to my building. Entered through the front. Took the elevator to the 4th floor. Derek's floor. The receptionist recognized me from my previous visit. Can I help you? I'm looking for Derek Chen. I'm his sister. Oh, he mentioned you. Go on back. Conference room B. We walked past the desks. Past the employees working on campaigns and strategies. I knocked on the conference room door. Derek looked up. Saw me. His expression shifted from concentration to annoyance. He stood and came to the door. Maya? What are you doing here? I wanted to see your office. You've been inviting me for months. He looked at Jennifer. Who's this? Jennifer Park. My CFO. Your CFO? He laughed. For what, your freelance consulting? Something like that. Derek stepped into the hall, closing the conference room door behind him. Look, I'm in the middle of something important. This isn't a good time. I'll just look around quickly. Maya, no. This is a professional workspace. I can't have people just wandering around. We have client confidentiality issues. Security protocols. I'm your sister. And this is my business. You can't just show up unannounced. Jennifer shifted beside me. She'd met Derek once at a family event. She knew the dynamic. We'll go, I said. Sorry to interrupt. Yeah. Derek ran his hand through his hair. Look, maybe call next time. I can schedule something. Give you a proper tour when we're not busy. We walked back to the elevator. In the lobby, Jennifer turned to me. That was uncomfortable. It's fine. Maya, that's your building. I know. He just kicked you out of your own property. I know. What are you going to do? I thought about it. About 3 years of rent checks. About Derek's dismissive tone. About being called a freelancer in my own building. Nothing yet, I said. I'm just watching. On October 12, 2023, I got a call from Kenji, my property manager. Miss Chen, we have a situation. What's wrong? Derek Chen's company is requesting significant modifications to their space. They want to remove a load-bearing wall to create a larger open office concept. Did they submit the proper modification request forms? They did. But they also indicated that since they're practically running the building, they assumed it would be approved automatically. I was silent. There's more, Kenji continued. Derek personally called me yesterday. Told me that any delays in approval would be unacceptable. He said he'd speak to the owners directly if I couldn't handle this efficiently. What did you tell him? I told him I'd forward his request to ownership and they'd review it according to standard protocol. Good. Deny the modification request. Deny it. Yes. The structural engineering report shows removing that wall would require extensive reinforcement. Minimum cost, $85,000. Under the lease agreement, structural modifications of that scope require tenant funding and cannot proceed without owner approval. Deny it. Understood. And Kenji, when you deliver the denial, make it clear it came from ownership. No explanations. No negotiations. Just no. I'll send it today. I hung up. 2 hours later, Derek called me. Maya, you're not going to believe this. The building owner is being completely unreasonable about a simple office modification. That's frustrating. I'm thinking about breaking the lease. Finding a building where the owner actually understands business. Maybe I'll buy my own building. Show these corporate investment companies how real entrepreneurs operate. You should do what's best for your business. I'm serious. I might move Apex to a different location. Somewhere I have more control. I said nothing. Anyway, I'm calling because Sunday dinner is at Mom and Dad's. They're doing a special celebration for my 5-year business anniversary. You should come. I'll be there. Sunday, October 15, 2023. Mom's dining room table was covered with Derek's achievements. A blown-up photo of his office. A framed article from Seattle Business Magazine featuring Apex as one of the rising stars in marketing. Derek held court, telling stories about difficult clients and successful campaigns. The thing about building a real business, he said looking at me, is that you can't be afraid of risk. You can't play it safe. You have to bet on yourself. Absolutely, Dad agreed. Maya, you've been consulting for what, 8 years now? About that. Don't you ever want to build something bigger? Hire people. Scale up. I'm comfortable where I am. That's the problem. Comfortable. You know what comfortable gets you? Nowhere. Derek stood walking to the photo of his office. This office space? I fought for it. Negotiated hard. Built something physical. Something real. Not just code on a computer. An actual business with actual people and actual presence. It's very impressive, Mom said. Thanks. And honestly, I'm thinking about buying the building. The owner is difficult to work with. Doesn't understand the modern workplace. I've been talking to some investors about putting together a purchase offer. I took a sip of wine. How much is the building worth? Commercial real estate like that in downtown Seattle? Probably $12 million. Maybe $13 million. I'm thinking I can offer $11 million and negotiate. That's quite a bit of capital. That's why I'm talking to investors. People who understand vision. People who aren't afraid to think big. He looked directly at me when he said it. You should probably research the building before making an offer, I said quietly. I've been there for 4 years, Maya. I think I know the building. Do you know who owns it? Some Chin Property Holdings. Generic corporate entity. The room went quiet. Mom looked at me. Then at Derek. Then back at me. Chin Property Holdings, she said slowly. It's a common name, Derek said. Probably some Chinese investment group. I set down my wine glass. It's not an investment group. How would you know? Because I'm Chin Property Holdings. I've owned that building since 2019. The silence was absolute. Derek laughed. What? I bought the building on March 15, 2019 for $14.2 million. You moved your office there 6 months later. You've been paying me $8,400 per month in rent. Later increased to $11,600. Now $14,600 after your recent expansion." Dad's fork clattered against his plate. "That's not funny, Maya," Derek said. I pulled out my phone, opened my email, pulled up the lease agreement, slid my phone across the table to Derek. He stared at the screen. His face went white. You own the building?" "Yes." "Since 2019? "Yes." "Why didn't you tell me?" "You never asked. You called it some investment company that doesn't care as long as the rent check's clear. You said you basically run the place. I wanted to see how long you'd keep saying that while paying me rent." Mom stood. "Maya, is this true?" I pulled up my banking app, showed her the account. Chin Property Holdings LC. Current balance, $2.4 million. Property management expenses. Rent deposits. Including Derek's rent checks. "Oh my God," Mom whispered. Derek was reading through the lease agreement on my phone. "This signature. This is mine." "Yes. You signed a 5-year lease in September 2019. 3-year renewal option. You exercised that option last year. The property manager. Kenji. He works for you. I hired him in 2019. The modification request I submitted. You denied it." "I did. Structural concerns. Also, you were rude to my property manager." Derek set my phone down. His hands were shaking. "For years," he said quietly. "For years I've been telling everyone how I built my business. How I chose the perfect office space. How I negotiated a great lease." "You did negotiate a great lease," I said. "Fair market rate. Good terms. I was happy to rent to you. Why didn't you tell me?" "Because you were so proud of what you'd built. I didn't want to take that away from you." That was a lie. The real reason was that I wanted to watch. Wanted to see how long he'd dismiss me as a failed freelancer while writing rent checks to my company. Wanted to see how much confidence he'd build on a foundation I owned. "This is insane," Derek said. "This is business," I replied. Derek stood. "You've been lying to us for 4 years." "I haven't lied about anything. I just didn't volunteer information you never asked for. We're family. You're supposed to share these things. Like you shared how much you look down on me, how you think I'm a failure, how my work doesn't matter." "I never said." "You said it at every family dinner. Every holiday. Every time you talked about real business and real success and real entrepreneurs. You made it very clear what you think of me." Mom sat back down. "Maya, honey, we didn't know." "You didn't know because you didn't ask. You assumed. You saw a Honda Civic and hourly consulting and a quiet life, and you decided that meant failure. So what else haven't you told us?" Dad asked. I pulled out my phone again. Showed him my investment portfolio. 6 commercial properties. Total value, $67 million. Showed him my consulting firm's website. 55 employees. Client list including 3 major banks and 2 Fortune 500 companies. Showed him my personal banking summary. Net worth, $34 million. Dad stared at the numbers. $34 million? Give or take. How? I built something. I took risks. I scaled up. I did everything Derek says I should do. I just didn't announce it at Sunday dinner. Derek was pacing now. "This is unbelievable. You let me look like an idiot. You did that yourself. I just provided the office space. I've been bragging about that office for 4 years. I know. I heard every story. Every detail about your perfect space and your difficult landlord and how you basically run the building. This is humiliating. Now you know how it feels." The words hung in the air. Mom looked at me. "Maya, that's not fair. Isn't it? How many times did you compare me to Derek? How many times did you suggest I wasn't ambitious enough? Successful enough? How many times did you treat my work like a hobby? We were trying to motivate you. You were trying to make me feel small. And I let you. Because I wanted to see what you'd do. How far you'd go. How much you'd dismiss me before you thought to ask what I was actually building." Dad cleared his throat. "If you'd just told us. If you'd just asked. If you'd shown even the slightest interest in my work beyond whether it measured up to Derek's. But you didn't. You decided who I was and what I was worth. You wrote the story. I just let you believe it. Derek stopped pacing. So what happens now? Nothing changes. You have a lease. It's a good lease. Fair terms. You'll continue paying rent. Your business will continue operating. I can't work in a building you own, knowing that you've been watching. Then break the lease. But the penalty is 6 months' rent. $87,600. Plus you'll need to find new office space, which in downtown Seattle will cost you at least the same rate you're paying now, if not more. You can't be serious. I'm always serious about business. You should know that by now. Derek looked at our parents. Say something. Dad was still staring at my phone. At the numbers. Mom had tears in her eyes. Maya, I don't understand why you hid this from us. I didn't hide it. I just lived my life without performing it for you. There's a difference. I woke up at 6:30 a.m. on October 16, 2023. Made coffee. Checked my emails. At 7:15 a.m. I received a message from Jennifer, my CFO. Heard about last night. You okay? I replied, fine. Family drama. Nothing I can't handle. At 8 a.m. I got a text from Derek. We need to talk. This can't be how we leave things. I didn't respond. At 8:47 a.m. my property manager Kenji called. Ms. Chin, Derek Chen's company just submitted a lease termination request. When? This morning. He wants to end the lease immediately. He's citing, Kenji paused. He's citing irreconcilable conflict of interest with ownership. Remind him of the early termination terms. I did. He said he doesn't care about the penalty. He wants out. Process the termination. 6 months rent due within 30 days. He has 60 days to vacate the premises. Understood. There's one more thing. What? He requested that I remove you from the property access list. He doesn't want you entering the 4th floor while his company is still there. I laughed. Actually laughed. Tell him that as the property owner, I have legal right to access all areas of my building with 24-hour notice. But I won't be visiting. He can have his 60 days in peace. I'll let him know. At 9:15 a.m., my phone started blowing up. Derek, we need to talk. Mom, please call me. We need to discuss this as a family. Derek, Paya, answer your phone. Dad, this is getting out of hand. Derek, I'm serious. Pick up. Mom, your brother is very upset. Derek, fine. Be that way. I turned my phone on silent and went for a run. By noon, Derek had called me 47 times. I called him back at 12:30 p.m. Maya, finally. We need to fix this. There's nothing to fix. You submitted a lease termination. Kenji is processing it. You'll receive the final terms in writing by end of day. I don't want to end the lease. I want to talk about this. You literally told my property manager you want out due to irreconcilable conflict of interest. I was angry. You blindsided me. I stated facts at a family dinner. You're the one who made it about business. How am I supposed to run my company knowing my sister owns the building? Knowing she's been watching me for 4 years. The same way you've been running it. Nothing has changed except your knowledge of it. Everything has changed. I was quiet for a moment. Then, Derek, do you remember what you said to me in March? When you asked to use my apartment for 2 weeks. What? You said I wasn't doing anything important. You said I was on my computer all day anyway. You said it wouldn't make a difference if you were there. That's not. And at Sunday dinners, you said I was afraid to think big. That I was comfortable being small. That I'd never build anything that matters. I was trying to motivate you. You were trying to make yourself feel superior. And the whole time you were paying me rent. Building your success in a space I owned. With money that went into my accounts. Derek was silent. So yes, everything has changed, I continued. But only because you now know what I've known all along. That your success story includes a chapter where your failed freelancer sister owned the building you're so proud of. That's not fair. Business rarely is. Lease termination papers will be delivered by 5 p.m. 6 months rent due in 30 days. Vacate in 60 days. Those are the terms you signed. I hung up. For the next week I didn't attend family dinners. Didn't answer calls from my parents. Didn't engage with Derek's increasingly desperate messages. My property manager Kenji kept me updated, Day 2. Derek requested a meeting to discuss options. Kenji told him all communications must go through the legal terms of the lease. Day 3. Derek's business partner called asking if there was any flexibility on the termination penalty. Kenji said no. Day 4. Derek showed up at the property management office demanding to speak with ownership. Kenji reminded him that ownership doesn't take direct meetings with tenants. Day 5. Derek's attorney sent a letter suggesting the lease termination penalty was excessive and potentially unenforceable. My attorney sent back a letter with case law supporting the penalty amount and noting that Derek had signed the lease with full knowledge of all terms. Day 7. Derek paid the $87,600 termination penalty. Kenji confirmed the payment cleared. On day 8, Mom called. I answered. Maya, this has gone too far. Has it? He's your brother. He made a mistake. He's trying to apologize. By breaking his lease and paying the penalty instead of just continuing to rent from me? He's embarrassed. He's hurt. You humiliated him. I stated facts. If facts are humiliating, that's not my problem. You're being cruel. I took a breath. Mom, for 8 years you've treated me like I was failing. Like I wasn't measuring up. Like I was just coasting through life with no ambition. And I let you. I didn't defend myself. I didn't justify my choices. I just kept building. We didn't know. Because you didn't ask. You saw what you wanted to see. And now that you know the truth, instead of acknowledging that maybe, just maybe, you were wrong about me, you're upset that I didn't correct your assumptions sooner. That's not what I'm saying. Then what are you saying? Silence. I'm saying your brother needs you, Mom said finally. My brother needs to find a new office. He's got 52 days left. I hung up. 2 weeks after the Sunday dinner reveal, Derek's business partner Marcus Webb called me. Maya, this is Marcus. Derek's partner at Apex. I know who you are. Can we talk? Off the record. About what happens next for our business. I was intrigued. I'm listening. Derek's been difficult since the dinner. He's angry, distracted, making bad decisions. That's between you and Derek. The thing is, I've been doing research on you, your consulting firm, your portfolio. You're successful. Very successful. Thank you. And I'm wondering why you never told anyone. Not just Derek. Why keep it secret? I considered the question. Because the moment I told people, it would become the thing I had to defend. The thing people had opinions about. I preferred to build without the commentary. That's smart. What do you want, Marcus? Derek wants to move the company. Find new office space. Start fresh somewhere that doesn't remind him of this situation. Okay. But moving is expensive. New security deposits. Moving cost. Build out on a new space. We're looking at $150,000 to $200,000 in transition costs. That's standard for commercial moves. Right. But here's the thing. Our lease at your building is actually really good. Below market rate. Great location. The space works well for us. I'm aware. If we stay, Derek has to face the fact that his sister owns the building. That's difficult for his ego. Again, that's between you and Derek. What if it wasn't Derek's decision? I paused. What are you suggesting? I'm suggesting that I'm 50% owner of Apex Marketing Solutions. Derek can't move the company without my agreement. And I don't want to waste $200,000 and 3 months of productivity moving when we have a perfectly good space. So don't move. I need Derek to accept that. Which means I need you to tell me. If we withdraw the lease termination and continue as tenants, will you be a professional landlord? No drama. No family complications. Just business. I've always been a professional landlord. Your rent has been fair. Maintenance has been prompt. I approved your expansion requests when they made sense. The only thing that's changed is Derek's knowledge of who signs the checks. That's what I thought. I'm going to talk to Derek. Good luck with that. One more thing. Your consulting firm. You work with financial institutions. Yes. We've been looking for a consultant to help us with database security for our client management system. Can I get a proposal? I smiled. Email my business address. We'll set up a meeting. 3 days later, Derek called me. Marcus told me you talked. He called me. He wants to stay in the building. Withdraw the lease termination. That's his right as 50% owner of your company. You put him up to this. I did nothing. He made a business decision. Derek was quiet. Then, if we stay, I need to know you're not going to, I don't know, use this against me. Use what against you? The fact that you own the building. That I pay you rent. That you've been in control this whole time. Derek, I've never not been in control. The building is mine. The lease is between your company and my LLC. That's how it's always been. The only thing that's changed is your awareness of it. It feels different. That's your issue to work through, not mine. Can you at least understand why this is hard for me? Yes. You built your self-image on being more successful than me. On being the entrepreneur while I was the freelancer. On having the answers while I was figuring it out. And now you know that the whole time I was doing just fine. Better than fine. I was your landlord. Jesus, Maya. The lease termination penalty has been paid. If you want to stay, Marcus needs to submit a withdrawal of termination request within the next 48 hours. Otherwise, you're out in 50 days and the penalty stands. And you're okay with us staying? I'm a landlord. You're tenants. As long as you pay rent and follow the lease terms, I don't care who you are. But I'm your brother. Which is why I've been an exceptionally fair landlord. Below market rate. Prompt maintenance. Reasonable expansion approvals. Most landlords wouldn't have been that generous. I didn't know it was you. Exactly. Derek exhaled. Hey, we'll submit the withdrawal. But I need one thing. What? Sunday dinners. We skipped the next few. Give me time to adjust. Fine by me. And Maya? Yeah. I'm sorry. For the things I said. For the assumptions I made. For treating your work like it didn't matter. Okay. That's it? Just okay. What do you want me to say, Derek? That it's fine? It's not fine. You spent years making me feel small. That doesn't go away because you apologized once. I know. But I accept your apology. And I'm willing to move forward professionally. You're a good tenant. Pay your rent. Follow the lease. We'll be fine. What about as siblings? That's going to take more than one conversation. It's now April 2024. Spring in Seattle. Cherry blossoms and rain and tech companies raising their Series B rounds. Derek's company is still on the 4th floor of my building. Rent paid on time every month. No incidents. No drama. Marcus Webb's company became one of my consulting firm's clients. We rebuilt their database security infrastructure. They paid $180,000 for the project. Professional relationship. No family complications. I attended my first Sunday dinner in February 2024. Awkward at first. Derek and I circled each other carefully. Polite. Professional. Like colleagues more than siblings. Mom asked about my business. Actual questions. About clients and growth and challenges. Not comparisons. Not dismissals. Actual interest. Dad asked if I'd consider speaking to his investment club about commercial real estate. I declined. But I appreciated that he asked. Derek's business is doing well. They landed a major contract with a regional healthcare system. He told the story at dinner without the usual bravado. Just facts. Just updates. The 4th floor space is working out well, he said, looking at me. Good location. Fair terms. Glad to hear it, I said. Later, as I was leaving, Derek walked me to my car. I've been thinking, he said. About the things I said. Over the years. About your work. Your choices. Your success. Okay. I was wrong. Obviously. But it was more than that. I think I needed you to be less successful. Made me feel better about my own achievements. Like I was the only one who figured it out. That's honest. I'm trying to be better. More aware. Less of an asshole. It's a process. Yeah. He paused. Your consulting firm. You're doing well. Very well. Good. That's good. He meant it. I'm proud of you, Maya. I should have said that years ago. Thanks. And the building. I know I made it weird. But it's actually helpful. Knowing the landlord actually cares about the property. About the tenants. Most building owners don't give a shit. I'm invested in my properties. Literally. He laughed. Right. Well, Thanks for not being a terrible landlord. Thanks for not being a terrible tenant. We stood there in the parking garage. Brother and sister. Landlord and tenant. Two people who'd spent years misunderstanding each other finally starting to see clearly. See you next Sunday? Derek asked. Maybe. If I'm not busy. With your freelance consulting? He smiled when he said it. An actual joke. Not a dismissal. Something like that. I drove home to my Madison Park penthouse. 3 bedrooms. City views. A space I'd bought with money I'd earned building something that mattered. My phone buzzed. A text from Jennifer, my CFO. Q1 numbers are in. $6.2 million revenue. Best quarter yet. I smiled. Another text. From Kenji, my property manager. Rent deposits cleared for all properties. Portland building has a new tenant for ground floor retail. Details tomorrow. I pulled into my parking garage. Reserved spot. Owner's parking. Inside my apartment, I opened my laptop. Checked emails. A potential client in San Francisco wanted a proposal for database security consulting. A commercial broker had sent listings for 2 buildings in Austin I might be interested in purchasing. I made notes. Drafted responses. Plan my week. My phone buzzed again. Mom, thank you for coming to dinner. It meant a lot to Dad and me. I typed back, you're welcome. See you soon. I closed my laptop. Poured a glass of wine. Looked out at the Seattle skyline. For years I'd been quiet. Building without announcing. Succeeding without performing. My family had mistaken that silence for failure. Had confused my strategy with weakness. Had decided what my life meant without ever asking what I was actually building. And I'd let them. Not because I was afraid. Not because I was ashamed. But because I wanted to see how it played out. Wanted to see how long it would take for them to notice. Wanted to see what they'd do when they finally knew the truth. The answer, they'd apologized. They'd adjusted. They'd started to see me as I actually was. Was it worth it? The years of dismissal. The comments. The comparisons. Maybe. Maybe not. But I'd learned something valuable. Success doesn't require an audience. Achievement doesn't need validation from people who weren't watching in the first place. I built my business. Bought my properties. Created my wealth. And I did it all while my family thought I was just a freelancer in a 1-bedroom apartment. The revelation didn't change what I'd built. It only changed what they knew about it. And honestly, that was enough. My phone buzzed one more time. Derek, I told Marcus we should offer you equity in Apex if you ever want to advise us. You know, since you clearly know what you're doing. I smiled. Typed back, I'll think about it. But I'd need to see your financials first. Due diligence. Derek, of course. You're not a landlord. You're a businesswoman. Me, I'm both. And a sister. And a lot of other things you're still figuring out. Derek, fair enough. See you at work tomorrow. I mean at my office. In your building. This is still weird. Me, you'll get used to it. I set my phone down. Finished my wine. Looked out at my city. Somewhere in downtown Seattle in a building I owned, my brother was probably still processing everything. Still adjusting to the reality that his failed freelancer sister was actually his landlord. His successful businesswoman sister. His equal. Maybe even his superior. But I didn't need him to acknowledge that. Didn't need the validation. Didn't need the apology, though it was nice to receive. I'd already won. I'd won the moment I stopped needing them to see me clearly in order to see myself clearly. I'd won the moment I decided to build my success quietly, strategically, without waiting for permission or approval. I'd won the moment I signed the papers on a $14.2 million building and became my brother's landlord without him ever knowing. The reveal was just the epilogue. The story was already written, and I wrote every word of it myself.